I'm Ellen the Crazy Crafty Lady, here with another video. First, I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all. Tonight, I'm playing around with some of my leftover Christmas fabric. And I have my 10-inch ruler and my awesome little piece there. And I thought we could make a really cool, fun quilt square. And then what we want to do is take each of our two pieces of fabric and put them, let's do it this way, and put the right sides facing each other. And we will get them all to facing each other. Looks like I never have room on my table. But let's do this. And here's the second one. We want to line them up. You can clip these if you want. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I just sew them, because I just don't want to deal with getting all the clips out. But if I have to, I will. But let's try this. And they're all lined up the right way. I've done these before and not lined them right, and the outside, the wrong side, ended up on the wrong side after they were sewn. So I'm being very careful as to they will be on the right side. And now what we want to do is go to our machine and sew around the square of each one of these. So let's go to the machine. Let me take you over here and we will sew our squares around . Grab one of these squares. And we're going to sew about 1/4 of an inch around each side. That stitch. Not quite. Make sure they're lined up. Let's line these up a little bit more right there. One more stitch. There we go. Make sure they're lined up correctly. This one's going to be a little off. So, let me line it up. put one more. Be sure. There we go. All right. And I am going to put my string, just something I like to do ahead of time. Back stitch. There we go, there's one. We'll cut our string. Nicely sewn. Little close there. Well, we can fix that and trim. Let's get another one. All right, let's pull that there. Pull that down and just kind of, let's pull the whole thing off and just kind of hold it with our hand. Might be better. Let's cut a string. Let's grab that. Straighten it out a bit. Fix that here. Gonna have to do some trimming on that. All right, it's not perfect, but I am from not perfect. All right, there's another one, and we will trim all that up after we're ready to get our cutting tool going. Let's get another one. Let's pull my string a little bit further out. This one's working out nicely. Let's cut our string. Let's remove that. another one. Alright, one left. This one needs to be that one looked a little bit not so dark, so bright. It looked dark than it should be. Alright, last square. Yeah, one more. Let's kind of pull this down a little so it doesn't bunch. Side, and we will trim our string. Let's pull this down so that it stays flat while we sew the last side. Let's go to our table and we will do some cutting. This back over here. Now we can mark these two if we want, just to get our lines right. This is what we're going to do here. One, and you can trim these at some point and even them out later. And this one's not going to look quite the way I thought because it's a little bit off, but we will mark it. Once we cut, we can do trimming and fixing and all the fun stuff that people do when they're making quilt squares. It doesn't have to be perfect. Out to be perfect. half square triangles. You can do a lot with half square triangles. We will get them to our ironing board in just a few minutes. Let's finger press these out, some of them. Just a kind of. Let's cut the rest of these up. If I call it. Sometimes you can leave it in one spot and just trim them. Sometimes they move and you want them to be, kind of even. So we'll just kind of move them around in the back. We'll finger press these. I like to keep the ones that came off of the same one together. These ones will get trimmed later. And like I said, I am not out to be perfect. I just want to make a fun quilt square. A really, really fun quilt square. There we have these. And our last one. Go. That one didn't trim off all the way. Let's get this just so we don't mess it up. There we go. Now we can take these to our ironing board and we will give them a pressing. Let's go to our ironing board and we'll hang out for a while. And let me reheat this iron because I leave it sit too long and then it cools off. And let's open up some of these quilt squares and we'll give them little finger pressings while we wait. Let me add some of those up there for the moment, just so that I have room. And we're going to press them all toward the candies, because that seems to be the way they want to lay. Woohoo! Put that there and this. Let's give them a pressing. Put them on top. All right, let's get these. press them. Grab these two. All these. Now these are pressed and ready. Now let's go back to our table and we will trim our corners and make sure our squares look pretty good. Just going to put this on here like that. And just give them a nice trim. Just our little there we go. You could probably do this with a pair of scissors too if you like. Whatever you're comfortable with. I sometimes do scissors and I sometimes use this. So just have, well, we got a handful left. But this will be a really fun little square. And you can do one of these. It doesn't take a lot of time to do. Just a square out of half square triangles. They're really fun and easy. They're about the easiest you can do. And I like doing some of them because you can make different designs and have a little bit of fun. And left, and we'll have all our squares cut. This is our last square. Now we have all our awesome, wonderful half square triangles cut out. Now we are going to play around with these, see what kind of design we'd like to make. I say we have something like this. You could do just make it odd or fun, or this. You can make it all different ways. Let's try this. And we can do just all kinds of fun things with that. We can do that. And then we can do this and make it really, really fun. And then we can add to this side and make this side and do something really, really fun. And let's see how we're going to do this side. Let's try this. And we'll go on this side and make a really fun little square. Like that. And let's see what we have. That looks very festive and fun. But we need to have this one going like this. Let's try that. All right, and let's see what we have here. Awesome little fun thing. And let's try. You can just play around with these in so many ways and just make all kinds of fun with your quilt square, like that or like that. You can just let's try playing around this way. Let's see what we're going to try. That looks pretty darn awesome, I think. We have 4 squares left, which should finish off something. Let's put it like this. And we'll go like this. And there is a really, really fun Christmas square. Let's see what that looks like if we had one of these on this side. Or we could have them like this. We can just play around. That's a fun square. Or we can do it like this and have this way as a fun square and be different. Let's try being different. And we will put this one and be different. And let's see. And that looks pretty darn cool, I think. I like it. And I think we're ready to go to the sewing machine. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew the first 4. And then we'll sew the second 4. And then the third 4, and then the fourth 4, and then we'll put our strips together. So let's go to the machine, and I'll bring the strips over. I love it. This is great. And let me see, just let me play with one more way to do this. Oh, we could do this too. That'd be fun. That would be really fun. But we're going to do this. And we're going to make it just fun. Just fun. Or we could do this. Let's try this way fun. And see what we think of that. Oh, that's really fun. I think I like this way the best. I think we've got it. Let's get to our sewing machine. And what we are going to do is sew these two together first. So we'll take them like this. And we will go to the machine. Let's go to our machine and we will get our two squares. And we will sew these together. Line them up a little bit more. Back stitch. All right, let's grab two more. Stay about 1/4 of an inch on the seam allowance. A little stuck there. Trim that. Trim that. Looks great. Now let's get our two squares, our other two squares, and we will stitch this together. Set that, and there we have our first strip. Looks fantastic. Set that over there. And then we'll get the next two squares in the sequence. Let me make sure that they're lined up properly. They're a little off, but you know what? I can trim them later. And I am not out for perfection, like I always say. two. Sorry about that. Let me line these up a little bit better. There we go. Whoops, not on this side. All right, we can trim later and fix and there we have another line. Looks great. Put that back a little bit. There's that one, looks really nice. Let's grab our other two. And we will stitch these. All right, let me just make sure what I've got where. I'm going to be so really cool when we're done with this awesome square. Kind of line these up a little bit. There we go, looks great. Another line done. One line left to complete. We line up this squares. And then we can trim the whole square when we're done. Up a little bit. Let's see, which way is it laying? It's actually laying that way. We want to make sure that we're not messed up. A little bit stuck again. There we go. Last two. Let's bring them over. And we will put these on. more piece. And that will go this way. Line them up a bit. Alright, that one's a little bit off. Yep, I'll have to fix that. Alright, let's see. Yep, that one was a little bit. And we have fixed. Alright, let's go over to our table real quick. And we'll see our awesome design. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch all these together after we give them a pressing on the ironing board. There we have it. It looks great. Let me run these to the ironing board. I will be right there. There we go. We have them all nicely pressed. We're going to line them up really fast. There we have that. Looks great. Let's start with our top two. We put them together like that. And like I said, I'm not out for perfection, and I can trim later. Let's go to the machine. Line them up a little bit. I'm going to put this on the machine, and then I'm going to kind of line these up with a couple clips, just a couple here and there, and keep it lined up. There we go. We can hang on to the bottom, and we will trim a couple strings along the way. Kind of hold that down a little bit. And push that through and under. Let's take that clip off for a minute. There we go. Put that back on for a minute. Kind of like lifted that up here and push that down. All right, let's remove the clip and line this up again. Let me just hold that. And we can trim some of these threads later too. I just like to get some of them out of the way. Here we go. Looks great so far. All right, let's get 2 more panels, or 1 more panel. And that one will go here. So let's turn this and line it up. And let's see. Let's get this on here. And put our presser foot down so it holds it in place, and then we will kind of line up the rest of it and put a clip here and there. Right here is where a clip is needed, and we'll just kind of move that up and down as we go along. Let me see, we're not lined up great. Don't want to unline my work. That would be very, very bad. Move that down just a bit. Okay, we'll raise that, put that under. Couple of strings, but we can they'll be on the back side, so we can do that at some point in time. And we are still lined up nicely. Looks great. Looks fantastic. 1 more to go. And let's make sure we're getting it in the right way. And it goes this way. So we will put it here. And we will do this. We will get the first part lined up. And we will get it under our needle. our presser foot will hold it down, and that'll help us line up some of the rest of it. And then we can let's see, that one goes this way and that one goes this way. So let's line this up properly and put a clip right about there. Sometimes you got to hold that piece down as you're going over it, or it goes the wrong way. Let's see, this one's wanting to go that way, and this one's going that way as well. Which sometimes it matters, sometimes it don't. Tonight is going to be called Doesn't Matter. It's just all in fun. Push that under. Nice quilt squares ain't always the best. And that's okay, because they don't have to be the best. Coming to our end. You just kind of move that over just a little bit. And there we go. Let's give it let me give it a quick pressing on the ironing board. Done with this iron. Let's go back to our table. And there we have it. Spread it out. Looks great. Looks fantastic. And there we have a really fun, awesome quilt square. And I will go around with my big ruler and trim it all and even it up. And there you have it, folks. This is another video. Again, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to all. And thanks for watching my video. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.